Hello, everyone. It's not even 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up, and I'm making a video. And why I do this, I don't know. But I'm doing it. So let's start, shall we? See if we can turn this around here and aim it where I want to aim it. There we go. Whoops. Already I screwed it up. Shit. Sorry. Okay, Gutenberg I am not, but this is a book that I discovered when I was trying to organize my house yesterday, and it's a little volume I wrote and illustrated about personalized pens. These are pens that have names on them, and yesterday I spoke about this one here that I recently got that has a initials and then the words Proverbs 22.9, 22 verse 9, and inscribed on it. And my mind imagined that this was a first communion gift to, or a confirmation gift or something to a young lady. Though at the time, yesterday, I didn't think to talk about the ladiness about it because of the ring top pen. Anyway, so that made me actually look for this. I didn't stumble upon it by accident. I tried to find it and I was able to, which is not always possible in my house. This is something I wrote and illustrated maybe 20 years ago or more, and it's my take on pens that have names on them. Most collectors don't like that kind of thing and prefer them not to have names, but I always enjoyed them. So here's how I wrote the book. Here's the back cover, and there's the front cover, and you open it up like this, and you have the text up here and the plates down here. And you open it like that, and you open it like this, and you read, turn the pages this way and turn the pages this way. So already you're car sick. This 1993, I don't know how many years ago that is, you can do the math. This shows a Waterman slotted Sheraton with the spot that would have an engraved name, and this is where you would, should you have purchased this book, you would write your name right there. See, I'm even helping you out. Personalized Pens by Mr. Pierre Gustafson and W.K., illustrated by the author and A. Heller. Now you wonder who the W.K. and A. Heller are. Well, they are the pens. This pen, for example, which I illustrate right here, that's this pen, HP. I love how this is engraved. And it's an Esterbrook. Oops, no, pretend I didn't do that. It's an Esterbrook, and it's missing its nib and section. Why that is, I do not know, but I'll rectify that. So anyway, I looked for this book because also yesterday I talked about a pen that was given to Eddie Muzzy, and I was mistaken in my diatribe yesterday. It doesn't say Eddie Muzzy, it says Edward Muzzy. From mother to Edward Muzzy, and which is not the same thing as I was saying, so I'm correcting myself from yesterday. Anyway, I go around, I talk about any number of things, and these are the illustrations. And what I did with this is I showed the close-up of the barrel of the pen. This was a huge senior-sized Parker dual-fold in lapis that said Hattie F. Hussey. And I thought, why would Hattie F. Hussey need to include her middle initial? I mean, how many Hattie Husseys are there in the world? And I imagined her as a battle axe. Doesn't she sound like a battle axe to you? So the picture continues this way and becomes a battle axe. So the next picture was not that, I guess. This one I just talked about other pens that have names on them. I don't know. Again, you'd have to read my text, which I'm not going to bother to do. This one, H. Lubin, and I just used this pen. Here it is, right here. William H. Lubin. And this is on a Schaefer pen with very beautiful script, as you can see, which is really weird because I imagined anyone that owned a Schaefer to be a cigar-smoking businessman. You know, hardly anyone that would even think of writing in cursive shaded lettering like that. So I imagined his factory that he owned had a wonderful lunch program for the child workers, perhaps. So here's the, the factory in the distance, and this becomes, a tank car, carrying the toxic waste into there to be turned into whatever children's toys or whatever they were doing. So let's see, what else do we have here? This one, Albert Heller. See, that's Albert Heller here. So I used this pen. I don't know, it's a Waterman, I remember, but I don't know if I still own it. Albert Heller, chairman of the Entertainment Committee, Men's Club, NBJC, whatever that is. So I show the, the dame coming out of the cake here. There's Albert Heller, maybe. So that's the entertainment at the Men's Club. So let's see what else I did here. This one, I don't own this pen, but it's a pen that I've always wanted to own, and it was a Waterman. They're engraved. I've seen them. They're engraved. The Scott, not the Scott, one of those explorers that used Waterman pens and special non-freezing ink on the to take notes during the polar expedition. So here you see the ship at the end of the ice cap, and then this little line. So I'm wondering whether that pen that I saw could have been, was it the first pen to make it to the South Pole or the North Pole or whatever pole they were going to. So there's the little calligraphic track across the, wouldn't that be great to have a piece of paper that was that big and that flat and that white for your big long letter? And what else did I talk about? I haven't looked at this book for a long time. Olive. Olive is a 51, Parker 51 with a sterling cap with another beautiful engraving, and I just love it. And I've placed it on a green pen. It came on some other color, but I put it on one of the green pens, which is almost olive color. It's very sort of a dusty green, beautiful color. And I talked about that pen. Let's see, which one was this? GMZ to ELZ. Now why? I'd have to read my text, and I don't want to do that. But I turned that into a grand piano because for some reason that's what why did I imagine that? Who knows? These are other initials. This one. This one is this pen here. It's a Waterman Commando, and you can see that the engraving looks like it was done with, the sailors, United States Navy Reserve, LZT 1050, that's the ship, that's his name, West, CW, and he carved it, it looks like, using, maybe a pocket knife, but it's clearly done very crudely. So I imagined, in my little story, that it was, on his boat in a storm at sea. Let's see what else I did here. This is where I spoke in the book about cartouches, these places where there are supposed to be engravings and they're empty and they just look like, what's that for? Why don't you, it looks something's missing, and something is missing. These were meant to hold something, and when they're not there, they look unfinished. What else do I have here? This one was engraved with the same dates on both the crescent and the band, which I thought was interesting, that they felt those dates. This 50-year anniversary here was so important to have it twice. This was a fun one. This was a Parker 51, and it has Youngquist, something Youngquist. I can't remember what his first name was. J maybe, J. Youngquist. And it's one of these pens that has the signature copied on the pen. It's almost like this is a cue card for how he writes his name. It's like, how do I do that again? And he's holding the pen in his hand, and all he has to do is look over here and copy it, And I love that. It's like his crib notes on his 51. Oh, let's see. What is this? Oh, here I talk about the pens I'm using for this actual book. So there's Albert Heller doing the drawings, and here's whatever this pen is, WK. Now that it's a Waterman with a pansy panel pattern to it, so I should be able to find that now, is doing the text. Bert Bonar, Calcinator Quota Buster. That's a pen I have that I don't know what a calcinator is, but Bert Bonar, there's his name tag, B. Bonar, at whatever calcinatron company, and there he's signing his sales order for the week or the month or the year, whatever it was. And you see he's wearing a conservative tie, salesman's tie. Let's see, what's this? Oh, fin. Well, I'm done. So this is my book. And it actually was fascinating reading, and maybe I should rewrite it somewhere. Because I talk about many things, the way the things are engraved, the fonts used, what that brings to mind. It's really quite fun, and it does make me imagine who owned the pen. I don't really want to know who William Lubin is. I'm not interested in that. I'd rather imagine what he was like. Facts generally don't interest me very much, but imagination does, I guess. There was a pen collector friend of mine who is a poet, and he loved as well collecting pens that had names on them. And there was a pen that was given to me by my neighbor, and rudely I sold it to him, maybe because I felt he was going to make use of it, even though it was a neighbor that gave it to me, and I should have kept it. I gave it to him. And he wrote a poem about the man that he imagined to be the owner of this lapis blue Parker pen. And Roland W. Chambers was the name, just very simple typeset. And he imagined him to be a traveling salesman that would travel the countryside in his Cadillac and sell, I think he sold ladies' underwear. And I said, well, the Cadillac part was correct. The Chambers, Mr. and Mrs. Chambers, always owned Cadillacs. But he was a vice president of Northwest Airlines, so that part was wrong. But I think the story of him being a door-to-door salesman of women's lingerie was more poetic and more interesting than his actual job of being the vice president of an airline company. More poetic anyway. So there we go. Here's my, as I said, Gutenberg I am not. It was really rather a clumsy book to read, but I still like the idea of it. Okay, I just want to look at the pictures, but I have to look at the pictures backwards. Oh, I don't know. Tell me what you think, you folks out there in TV land. And just a side note, I want to thank very much Peter Draws, who has recently received a pen that I sent him, and he mentioned me and my channel on his very popular channel, and now the pressure is on me to be as entertaining as I can, or informative, or whatever, because now I have more people to please. But I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. I really enjoy sharing my collection of pens and sharing my quirky take on drawing and occasionally life, and I hope you enjoy it. The end. Fin, as we said. Where's the end here? Fin.